Welcome back to PM with the Trigger. Rich Bontrager here with you. And we're picking up our conversation from yesterday on the audience shift, the mindset shift of media, mass media communications, from the public speaker to the broadcaster. There's a cultural shift, but it's about the engagement with the audience. Drop in the chat today. Are you struggling to better connect with the audience? Is it become hard for you to make sure that they're paying attention, they're sticking with you, they're understanding where you're coming from? Drop in the chat and let me know where you're at, where it's coming from, because we're going to get into this part two of craving for being authentic as we communicate. And I'm going to start off with a couple little mind shift, a couple little ways that we've seen this shift growing for some times, but now the shift is here and it's big and it's strong and it's not going anywhere. And as communicators, we need to figure this out. And in fact, Jan's with us once again, and she's with us here, and it's shifted. Yes, it has. And it's going to continue to shift. And as communicators, leaders, influencers, especially if you're streaming content, podcasting, doing TV shows, if you're an author or writer, you have to figure out how to connect with your audience better and better. So on an interview this morning on the CBS Morning News with John Grisham. John Grisham's got a new book out. Their first question is, why did you write the book? To make money. Now, everyone got a great laugh out of it, but believe me, that's not what people are looking for today in this new media world. We're looking for connection. We're craving for authentic. Now, it was an authentic answer. He's going back and redoing the firm and bringing the firm characters back to life. It's a well-beloved book, but people are looking for something of authentic. So think about that as I go through a couple shifts that are taking place today. It's the quest for authenticity. We'll just call it that. Okay. It's the new era. There's a shift from consuming content to engaging with content. The shift began years ago, but it's really, really a key one right now. A shift from just consuming to now engaging. There's a shift from listening and believing anything we're told to the lack of trust, and everything has a question behind it now. Can you feel that one? There's a shift from the prescript. The news is always a tightly run in and out, boom, boom. Now it's unscripted and it's live in the moment. You can be interrupted and you're off to someplace else when you were right here a moment ago, but a breaking story and you're there now. There's a shift from controlled media, because of what I just described, to 24/7. There is no control. We could have stories conflict, not entangled together, be totally separate, and it's all going on in the same time, at the same moment. There's a shift from when I grew up, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts, to now it's dig deeper. We want answers and we want to understand. Can you relate to any of those shifts that are going on right now? Is that you want to understand? And Jan's chiming in here a little bit about the stroke and trying to understand and trying to improve listening. These are right on the ballpark, but it's not just stroke survivors and people that have struggled with medical issues. It's everyone's this way right now. Everyone is tired of the status quo and the status answers. So now we're much more inquisitive, but the being inquisitive is not enough. They want to get to know you. They want to get to know your heart. And I'm going to touch on this now a little bit deeper here. As we get into this, it's a real dialogue between media personalities and the audience, between public speakers and the audience, between authors and the audience. If you play in this realm where there's a microphone, there's a camera, they don't just want to see you look cool. They want to hear you and feel you and know you. Number one, it's going to be, you got to build that trust of being authentic. Trust in the media is shot right now. Trust is absolutely shot in the media because they have lied, they've manipulated, they've covered from their angle to where they wanted to lead the story. They've edited stories. We've all heard about those, haven't we? But there's the authentic nature of when they now, instead of just a 10-second sound bite, they want to know what's going on. So more and more streaming services are popping up. More and more TV stations, radio stations are doing the short version for your nightly news, your morning news. If you want to hear the deeper discussion, go to ABC Plus, NBC Plus, whatever it is your plus is. The plus is where the deeper story is. Even 60 minutes. And 60 minutes used to be like 15 minutes per little nugget. And then Andy Rooney would come on for a few minutes. But even 60 minutes now is saying we have the rest of it. So instead of editing it and leaving it, they're giving you more content because we want to go deeper. We want to be more authentic. We don't trust just what you feed us anymore. And part of that is really good. Part of not trusting media as being the authentic, the finishing word is a great thing. And part of it's very sad because now we're skeptics of everything that's on the news, in print, in a book. We're becoming more skeptical people instead of more trusting, more loving. But that's where the authentic side comes back in. You want the stories to uplift, Jan, saying here. You want them to be inspirational. That's very true, Jan. But they also want them to be truthful. We've had a lot of inspirational stories, and then we find out they're not all true, or the facts weren't totally there or accurate. So the authentic nature of that is also in there now. Second, I want to bring up here the dialogue. The key is authentic media. So there's 3 ways to be more authentic with media. Some of them are pretty basic, but I can tell you it doesn't happen. Number 1, you got to be a better active listener. Better active listener. News journalists, radio people are always listening to something else in their earpiece. We have a director, a producer. We have this next commercial coming up. We have something going on. And we are taught, trained sometimes to project and move to the next thing instead of listening to the thing. When we have guests on the show, I'll always tell the show, thank you for the questions you gave me to kind of get the engine started. We'll kind of get into that. But I'm going to be active listening about where the story goes. I want to hear what you're revealing, what you're talking about. And we're going to do what I call like this little snake. We're going to move where the story goes. Because as I active listen, you're going to say something. It may not have been in any of your questions, but it may be the best part of the entire conversation, or maybe the right angle to go deeper into who you are, to what you believe about the reason you make the decision you do. That active listening piece is huge for podcasters, for streaming people, for authors. If you are in this range, you got to be a better active listener. I'll tell you the honest truth. One thing I had to learn over the years of broadcasting to be a better active listener. I don't do it as much, but I literally would ask a question and I would cover my mouth. I would literally cover my mouth. So I tell myself, don't ask another question. Listen. And I would look them in the eye and nod my head, but I would cover my mouth to remind myself, time out, stop talking, and actually listen. And it works. The active listening gets more, better, deeper, richer content. Encourage the audience participation. We're hearing that one a lot through the chat box. That's why every day I ask you to drop in your chat. How you doing? Say hello. We have people here chatting back and forth, even while we're talking and sharing. But they want audience engagement. You want pre-email. You want questions about the upcoming shows. You want questions about the last week's show. You want to have an ongoing dialogue that is embraced. And you want to encourage this. Now, this was totally different than growing up. Now, it was on AM radio. AM radio was the beginning of talk radio. AM radio had the buzz and the whine. So, yeah, of course, sometimes you want to have someone call in. You're listener number 5. Can I help you out, please? You're the grand prize winner, listener 5. But now we literally want them to come on and join the debate. Sports Talk Radio did this great for a long time. Talk about the game last night. Everyone's an armchair quarterback. Everyone has their opinion about the game from the weekend. So they began to open up the phone lines and talk about the game, but with you. And people were calling in from work and getting in trouble at work because they were engaging on the radio, and it was working. The other big thing about the real dialogue and authentic media today is you got to build a community. I know some of the people virtually here more and more. I've gotten to know them. They send me emails. Some of them even send me birthday cards. But they've gotten to know me to the point where that's important to them. They want to know that I know them and they know me, and we're in a community, and then they do crosstalk and they do check. And so building a community, there's a lot of programs, a lot of people are building I need my program. I need my tribe. Where can I find my tribe? Go make your own tribe and build the dialogue that way. But that's part of what it is. I mean, Jan, if you're a regular watcher here, you know Jan's in there typing and listening, and she's like dictating part of this for me. She's not just part of the tribe, she's on the team and not getting paid for it because she loves being here, a part of the crowd, right? Right, Jan, right? But that's a part of what's going on in this new landscape is people want to be a part. Now, here's the one that I really want to park on for the last couple of minutes. This is new. This is not what I was taught in media school. This is not what broadcasters were trained on. This is new because of the culture and the shift for intimacy. The big shift for every broadcaster right now is learning how to be empathetic, listen, and connect deeper. But that empathy is the hardest part because we were trained just the facts, man. We didn't want to hear the side stories. We didn't want to hear the whys and the wherefores. We just wanted to know who got shot, how critical was it, are they going to live, and have they called anybody? Who, what, where, when, how, why. People are done with that. People are done with the who, what, where, when, how, why. Now, it's still there. But we want to know their heart. We want to know right now, as the war is raging, the different wars around the world, we're doing human interest stories. And you're seeing journalists sit down. You're seeing journalists. Recently, I saw a couple of journalists, the camera's on their shoulder. They're talking with the person, and they're on the main frame. You're getting the shoulder shot over the reporter, looking right into the eyes of the people they're interviewing. And the reporters are reporting normal conduct, and they're reaching up, putting the shoulder on, and continuing the interview, holding them. They're really empathizing and getting into these. And reporters are walking away sometimes to recompose themselves because now they're taking on the pain and the hurt. They're not just reporting the news, they are feeling it with people. And the people are falling more in love with that. They're falling more in love with, you really reported it. You got the sense of my pain. You got my son's name right. You got the kid's name right. You got the facts right. And so it's no longer just give me the story. As a reporter, you have to open up your heart and be vulnerable and connect in a way that, again, we were not trained in broadcasting. We were trained to literally keep a shield up, kind of like many people talk about doctors and lawyers. Doctors and lawyers primarily have been taught to, hey, I'm here to help you out. I'll listen to you, but I'm not going to get involved with your emotion. There's no space in this for your emotion. And now we're seeing this empathetic, emotional connection. That's why people like Joe Rogan. It's an unscripted show with Joe Rogan. He'll listen, he'll push, he'll drive, he'll dig deeper. And at the same time, he will stop and go, that's a bunch of crap. Man, I'm sorry you went through that. That's horrible. And we're now going into a different form of the audience shift because we're not just reporting it anymore. We are reporting with you, and you are reporting with us. And it's a whole different environment of how do you bring people deeper into this? It's imperative. If you want to have a podcast, if you want to have a streaming show, if you want to have a connecting book, you have got to be in the story now. We are not separate observers reporting casually. We are all now actively engaged, reporting together, sharing together. And it just so happens I have a camera, I have a microphone. It just so happens that I'm connected to XYZ network, or I'm writing for this paper or for this magazine. It just so happens that we get to listen to you, share your story. And like I said yesterday, we get to grab a cup of coffee, sit down next to you, and tell it like it is in a new way. It's challenging. This is very challenging for broadcasters that have been trained and have lived in the world of separation. But that doesn't fly anymore. And that's why this is new. This is challenging. This is hitting people. And the people You, the audience, it used to be the audience. You're now in the middle of it with us and you want to be a part of it. You want your voice heard. You want us to listen and you want us to share it more authentic and more real instead of having that facade off. I admit it. I've done stories where I've gotten choked up. I admit it, where my face has gone red because it's hard. That's why I don't do hard, serious news because I'm not the right guy to do hard, serious news. I learned that a long time ago. What do you think about this? What do you think about the audience shift? The audience craving for that authentic interaction. Yes, we'll do those shorts. We'll do like the crunch down version of the story, but more and more, we're also going to go deeper and longer. Where do you fall on this? What are you interested in? What is your desire from media and the new media that we get to live in? It is 24/7. It's always there. And more, we're live, we're active in the moment. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Send me an email, rich@richbontrager.net. That's rich@richbontrager.net. Just drop the email in. Let me know your thoughts, your feedback. Drop it on LinkedIn, drop it on Facebook. I'd love to get in that dialogue with you. And we're going to pick this up again tomorrow. There's still more to talk about this shift. It's a seismic shift. And we hear you about your craving for more authentic, more media connections, and let's get more real. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. with The Trigger live once again. We'll see you then at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, I'm The Trigger, Rich Bontrager. We'll see you tomorrow.